Carol hit the floor face first. No hands out, no sound but the sound of the impact. Bob from accounting was closest. He was on his knees beside her before anyone else knew what happened, rolled her over on her back, and placed 2 fingers at her throat, looking for her pulse. The rest of the floor stayed at their desks, half standing, phone still in hand, watching, not knowing what to do. "Somebody call an ambulance," Bob shouted, and started compressions. Stephen was already crossing the floor toward him. "Call 911, Bob said, not looking up, counting under his breath between pushes. Across the floor, another man stood up from his chair, took 2 uneasy steps back, and dropped dead where he stood. Stephen ran back to his desk, lifted the phone receiver, and pressed 8 for an outside line, then dialed 911. The line clicked, held, clicked again. A recorded voice told him all circuits were busy. By the time he looked up again, there were 4 bodies on the carpet, then 5. A woman near the window folded straight down into her chair and didn't move again. Someone across the floor was screaming into a phone that also would not connect. Stephen counted 7 people down in under 3 minutes. And then Carol's hands began to twitch. Bob, still crouched over her, hands pressed to her chest mid-compression, didn't see it. Carol's fingers curled slowly into her palms, and then her eyes opened. She sat up in one motion, her joints stiff and jerky, eyes unfocused. Bob let out a breath, half a laugh, already reaching to steady her. Hey, easy, you're okay. You scared the hell out of me." Carol's head swiveled toward him, slow, tracking sound instead of sight. Then she found him and lunged. The scream that followed from Bob was different sound entirely, higher and shorter, cut off fast. 2 desks over, the man who dropped next sat up, and the same way, all at once, no hesitation and no confusion. He stood and turned toward the nearest sound of a heartbeat and moved forward to it. That's when the floor erupted, real chaos now. People were up out of chairs, cubicles being knocked over. Somebody's laptop hit the floor and began skidding. Stephen was still holding his phone when a coworker sprinted past him at full speed, clipping his desk hard enough to set his monitor crashing, and didn't even slow down. The man was headed straight for the stairwell door at the end of the floor. The elevator bank sat 10 feet from his desk, closer than the stairwell door across the floor. He ran for it, jammed the down button 4 times, and stood there for several seconds, shifting nervously, looking back at the bloodbath, listening for the elevator. The sudden appearance of Carol, looking at him, screaming, 20 feet away, settled it for him. He threw himself sideways into the stairwell emergency exit. He grabbed the handle with both hands, swung it open wide, and took the first few steps down as he looked back. The door closing too slowly, he grabbed and pushed it shut fast. Then it shuddered. One bang against it, then another, then a fast series of them, something on the other side trying to break through. He didn't wait to find out what happened to Carol. He turned and ran, shoes slapping concrete, palms skidding along the rail 2 steps at a time. The 9th floor door burst outward as he passed it. A woman stumbled into the stairwell and pushed the door shut behind her fast. She turned, gripping a blood-soaked 3-hole punch in both hands. One hinge bent sideways from the force of a swing. Blood soaked through her sleeve, where something had torn through her forearm. And then her eyes found him. She stood uneasy. Please help me." Stephen stopped. He pulled his tie loose and wrapped it around her arm, over the wound, clenching it tight enough to make her flinch. Thank you, she breathed. Thank you. He got an arm under hers and started her down the next flight, her weight leaning hard to his side. But 3 steps down, she went rigid. Her hand clamped at the rail, knuckles white, and her breath caught, and then didn't come back. She stopped breathing against his shoulder. Not slowed, stopped. All at once, her whole weight going slack against him. Before he could understand what happened, her body locked rigid again, eyes open, mouth working like a crazed animal. He shoved her off and stepped back. Her head came up, already hunting for him. Stephen returned to going down the steps faster than he thought it was possible, and she came after him fast, faster than he expected, missing steps, slamming into the wall on every turn of the stairwell without seeming to feel it. He could hear her before he could see her, in a scream that never ran out of breath. His foot caught the edge of a step and he went down hard, palms skidding across concrete, pain flaring up both wrists. But he was up again before the sting of it caught up with him. Only half a floor now, the only thing between the two of them. She fell to somewhere above him, a heavy thud, then the scrape of her getting up immediately. No pause for pain, no pause for breath. By the time he hit the 4th floor landing, his lungs were burning and his legs had gone electric with the fear that left no room for being tired. Then the 3rd floor, 2nd floor, 1st. He hit the lobby door with his shoulder and stumbled out into the room. Ground floor. The front doors hung open, glass shattered outward across the sidewalk beyond. He could see cars had stopped in the street at odd angles, doors open, engines still running. A city bus had gone into a storefront. People were running in every direction, with other people chasing them. Stephen was near the front door, still catching his breath, when he heard the closing stairwell door bang against the wall behind him. Turning around, the woman who had turned was coming through it. He took off into the street instead and let the chaos swallow him. Behind him, someone else was fighting to get through the same broken front doors, shoving past the wreckage to get inside the building instead of out. The woman came through the lobby, half a step behind, but lost even in the noise, and found the easier target nearby. Stephen cut through the crowd toward the parking garage 2 blocks over. He reached the entrance out of breath, but the smell hit them before anything else did, thick and copper, and worse underneath it. Past the propped open gate, 3 shapes crouched over low, something lying on the concrete. Up in the parking garage, a car burned against the support pillar, black smoke rolling up into the low ceiling. The 2 more cars sat crumpled against each other. A 4th car came screaming down the exit ramp, tires smoking, and slammed into the wreckage, but didn't go through it. Boxed the whole ramp shut with twisted metal. That killed the idea of taking his car and driving, so he backed away from the gate and turned into the open street of chaos with no plan but to get as far away from this as possible. He saw it a few seconds before it reached him. A bloodied man breaking off from the crowd at a dead sprint, arms already out, closing the gap faster than he could change direction. There was no time to dodge, so he dropped. He folded low and dove his shoulder into his feet, and the man, or what was once a man, went over him instead of into him, arms grabbing at empty air where he had been a half-second earlier. Stephen was still scrambling to get up when he saw a length of pipe come down hard on the back of the zombie's skull. A man in a torn security uniform stood over the body, pipe still raised in both hands, and looked at Stephen for exactly 1 second, studied him, and then turned away without a word, already moving toward the next zombie, working his way through the crowd. He didn't get the chance to thank the man, but did get back up on his feet, turned, and ran. Home was 6 miles south in the suburbs. He turned and tried to orient himself in the right direction, began weaving past an abandoned taxi with its door hanging open. But he didn't make it 3 blocks. The intersection was already gone. 2 buses had collided nose to nose, cars stacked in wreckage from both directions, and past it, a crowd had gathered that weren't human anymore. Figures moved through them, some running, some hunting. People spilled off of the wreckage in every direction, screaming, sprinting for open ground. The infected came after them, slower but relentless, gaining ground anyway. Stephen was already moving the other way, deciding home might not be an option. He didn't have a destination, but he had a direction, a way, and he took it, cutting down a side street, half emptied compared to the avenue behind him, putting distance between himself and the worst of it, 1 block at a time. A man went down 20 feet ahead of him, 3 zombies on him before he hit the pavement. Stephen decided he couldn't help him. It was too late. He cut around the far side of a parked delivery van and kept moving, eyes forward. No car, no plan, no stairwell to go down or lobby to burst through, just pavement and his own legs and the growing certainty that wherever this ended, it wasn't going to be home. He ran until the screaming behind him thinned into distance, then further until his lungs gave out before his fear did. He stopped in the mouth of an alley behind a shuttered storefront, hands on his knees, chest heaving, and let himself have 10 seconds of stillness. So he straightened up, wiped his mouth, and started moving again. Nowhere in particular, just forward, into whatever the rest of the day still had for him.